Welcome to the Marriage Steps podcast, where developing a long-lasting, happy relationship is the status symbol to achieve, and following my 6 marriage steps is a path to help get you there. I'm your host, Dr. Wyatt Fisher, a licensed psychologist specializing in marriage counseling. Today's podcast episode is a little different. Today I'm going to be talking about 5 ways to prepare yourself for attending my Total Marriage Refresh seminar. So this episode is dedicated to all of you listening who are going to be attending my seminar. And I'd like to go through some things that you should be thinking about and become mindful of so that you get the most out of the seminar. So this seminar is based on 6 steps to marital satisfaction. These are steps that I've developed through the years of my own marriage since 1999, working in my private practice since 2004, and all the research I've done on marriage counseling. And so it's a combination of personal experience, clinical experience, and marital research. So these 6 steps are covered in the seminar. And how it works is I do a presentation of around 45 minutes. And then after each presentation, there's about 30 minutes for couples to have breakout time just between them to apply what I just talked about. And there are 6 of those. So it's a lot of content, and it's very interactive, it's very multimedia to help people stay focused. And I'm in the process of slowly offering the seminar in different cities across the US, and eventually other people are going to facilitate it for me because I can't be everywhere at the same time. And so this episode is designated to all of you who may be coming at some point in the future to help you prepare so you can get the most out of the seminar. So the first thing to consider when you're going to be attending the seminar is be focused. The seminar, like I mentioned, is 6 steps, and so it's going to require you to give your undivided attention. So when you're at the seminar, make sure you're not checking your phone during the presentation. Make sure you're not distracted, daydreaming about something else. Make sure you're not checking the sports. Make sure you're not watching a YouTube video. Make sure you give it your best attention, your best focus, because we don't remember things unless we're paying attention in the first place. So that's step number 1. Make sure you're giving it your undivided attention so you can get the most out of it. The second thing to consider to get the most out of the seminar is be humble. And now a lot of you come into the seminar, your mind is probably filled with all the things your partner has done that's wrong, and all the ways they've hurt you, and all the ways you're frustrated in your relationship. That's probably a lot of you coming to the seminar. But instead, I'm going to ask you to focus on what you've done wrong and what your part is and the things that you can own. That's what I mean by being humble. Being humble is all about looking at your side of the street, your side of the equation. What can you really own? How have you made things worse in your relationship? How have you contributed to the cycles in your marriage? Maybe it's only 5%, maybe it's 30%, or maybe it's 90% you can own. But start thinking now about all the ways you've contributed to the issues in your relationship. You'll get more out of the conference that way because you'll be more receptive because you're willing to look at yourself, not just your partner. A third thing to consider to get the most out of the conference is be mindful about being empathetic. Empathy is a challenging concept, and a lot of us struggle. Well, how do we be empathetic? What is empathy? Empathy is putting yourself in your partner's shoes and trying to see the situation from their perspective. We're not naturally good at this. It goes against our selfish nature. Most of us get consumed with ourselves and what's hard for me and what I want and what I need and what I'm frustrated about. But empathy requires selflessness. That's why it's not natural. It requires me kicking off my shoes and going over and putting on your shoes and trying to see the situation from your vantage point. How would this make you feel? How would this make you think? How would this impact your life? That's empathy, when you can really try to see something from your partner's perspective. And when you're thinking about empathy, you have to be mindful of all the things that make up your partner. So what did they go through growing up? Their highs, their lows, their emotional wounds, their values in their childhood. What about now as an adult? What's your partner's top values? What are their top insecurities? What are their top marital needs? If you think about all those variables that make up your partner, who they are, and then you're thinking about that as they're describing their feelings will start to make sense to you, because you'll start to understand how all these things that make them who they are would influence how they feel about something going on in your relationship. So that's empathy. So I want to challenge you and encourage you during the conference to intentionally be thinking about, how would your partner be feeling in the relationship? What is your impact on them? That's empathy. Number 4 is be eager. Good students are eager to learn. Have you ever noticed that? Maybe when you went to high school, you noticed some really good students. Maybe you were one yourself. Maybe in college, you noticed some really good students. But a good student is eager to learn. They're focusing, they're concentrating, they're taking notes. They're really eager. They have this eager heart. They want knowledge. They want information. And this conference is going to load you up with information. Probably too much information. It's a lot of content, a lot of tools. And so you're going to get the most out of this conference if you're eager to learn the content. If you're at the conference and you don't really want to be there, or you're just watching the clock hoping it's going to go by fast, you're not very eager and you won't get as much out of it. But with each step that we go through, if you can remind yourself to have an eagerness, an anticipation, a willingness, a hunger to learn information on how to improve things, how to get things better in your relationship, or how to do things right, that eagerness will go a long way, because that will help you absorb the information and retain it because you're eager to learn it. The 5th thing I would encourage you to do to get the most out of the conference is be committed. Be committed to practicing what you learn in the conference. If you go through the conference and you learn all these tools, all these steps, and you're really jazzed up and you're like, wow, this is going to be so helpful, and then you leave the conference and you don't practice any of it, guess what? In a month or 2, it's going to fade. It's going to get fuzzy, and it's not going to be retained. So it's not realistic to consider going to the conference and then automatically that's going to change everything. The hard work is going to come with what you do with the information. So after the conference, the day after the conference, several weeks after the conference, several months after the conference, continue to review the content. Continue to review the information. Continue to rehearse it. Continue to practice the tools. Continue to discuss it with your partner. Be committed to internalizing the information, because then the information that is covered in the conference becomes part of you, because you've really meditated on it and you've rehearsed it and you've internalized it, you've memorized it and you've practiced it. Now it's your new normal, and that's not going to happen by accident. So make sure you're committed. Commit to internalizing the information, because if you do, it will transform your relationship. So those are 5 tips to get the most out of the Total Marriage Refresh Conference. Number 1, be focused. Number 2, be humble. Look at your part. Number 3, be empathetic. Look at how your partner is feeling and why. Number 4, be eager to learn. And number 5, be committed to internalizing the information until it becomes your new normal. If you haven't already attended the Total Marriage Refresh Seminar, I highly encourage it. It's a wonderful way to refresh your relationship. And for all of you who are signed up, I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you for listening to the Marriage Steps podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to click subscribe so you can listen to more episodes in the future, and click the 5 stars. For more marriage resources, be sure to go to my website, drwyattfisher.com. And remember, your marriage is alive. So if you nurture it, it will grow. But if you deprive it, it will die. The choice is up to you. Take care.